What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been probably a couple months since I've updated last. Some of you might be aware if you watched the earlier videos that I'm doing a old school hard body Mazda truck. I'm doing graphics on the whole thing, and it's supposed to be a secret. So I've got a lot of footage from that. The truck is pretty much almost done. I'm just waiting on glass at this point. To finish up the interior, and then the grill that needs done, but that's getting built by somebody else. So once I get that and get the glass and everything put back in it, the truck will be 100% done. So I've got a lot of footage on that, so just be patient with me. I know I pretty much just dropped the ball on putting videos out, but like I said, this truck's going to be debuted at his first show. So, and that's what the customer wanted. They wanted everything all over social media, so I respected that. I do have a lot of footage throughout the whole build. Some of it's already up and uploaded, so if you haven't watched that yet, go back and check that stuff out. But it's pretty much from start to finish. I'll either upload everything in one big video for you guys, or I might do little segments here and there. That way it's not so mundane and monotonous and all, a long video for no reason, trying to make these to where they're actually not boring, and you guys can actually get something from them. So I might just split it up in small segments, but I wanted to make this video because I'm getting a lot of messages about this mixing bank that I've had for a couple months, and a lot of those messages are coming from social media. Last week I've had House of KOLOR reach out to me personally and asked me if I cared if they started showing my work and everything. They noticed that I posted a photo of this bank and a little, me explaining, it was probably the best decision that I bought this thing. And some guys, when they look at that, a lot of us that have been painters know how much this stuff costs, and it's not cheap. So it kind of brought a lot of awareness to people, like, hey, we can actually buy a whole bank from House of KOLOR. And yes, you can. It's not something that you could go out there and just order online or, go to the website or, there's nothing like that. These banks are actually sitting in their warehouses. And the little key secret is you got to actually know a distributor. You got to know somebody that's actually selling the product. And you got to go, for me personally, I went through 3 different people trying to get this exact bank. And it took a couple months to get it, but I got it. It's been great. So I want to make a little video on this because I am getting a lot of questions. I want to answer as much as I can possibly. And where you can get it, how, prices and things like that. And a little disclaimer, I got a heck of a deal on it. I don't know if everybody's going to get the same deal, but it's really good when you know people and they know you're not messing around, and they know that you're a custom painter and you're going to be using this stuff from the ground up. They help you out if they realize that. And, I wasn't messing around when I wanted it. At first, I just kind of wanted to, fill it out and see how much it was. Because like I said, I've been painting cars for a very long time. I do collision work full time, and this stuff the custom stuff I do at home on, my own time. So it's kind of like my side gig for my side money, but it's starting to get bigger and bigger now. So this was something that I really wanted to invest in because I know, maybe not today or next month, but in years from now, this thing's going to be really, really beneficial to me. It already has been, but as a custom painter like myself and many of the other guys that are probably watching this, it's probably the best thing to invest in. I always bought my product individually. Like if I needed, cobalt blue or candy red, I would just buy the pint, and anything that I needed for that one job. And everything, having everything at once and not having to worry about, ordering, shipping times, making sure it's getting here on time. That way I'm not wasting the customer's time and their projects just sitting in my shop waiting on shipping and all that other mess. And sometimes you get the wrong one just because you know, things happen, I understand, but this just speeds up the process. And also, I mean, it looks cool. You know, when people come into my shop, it's not really a big shop, but it gives me enough space to do what I want to do in here. And when people walk in here and they notice how clean it is, besides the paint area, I know that's kind of getting kind of dirty now. Now that I'm actually doing more work out here, but everything else, they walk in here, they notice how clean it is, and then they see this bank, they know I'm not messing around. And that was the one thing for me of the reasoning why I bought this. You know, I want people to come in here and notice this is what I use. I'm not one of those guys where you're going to go and they're just going to go buy whatever is the cheapest thing at the store. There are I want to say about 90% of people that do this stuff at home. That's exactly what they're doing. They're going to the store and asking, you know, what's the cheapest clear? What's the cheapest paint? I got to do this car. And, you know, I've got such you know, budget and things like that. So this kind of knocks that question out because people know, you know, they got a gist of, you know, how expensive it is, and just kind of go over prices a little bit. Now I'm a collision painter. That's what I've been doing for a very long time, as well as this custom stuff. And to me, House of Color isn't really that expensive when you look at it as a whole and what it can actually, you know, when you see something that's done in House of Color versus something else, you notice it because it's got that rich, vibrant colors to it. The clear, you know, makes everything really, really nice and really stand out, especially out in the sun. So like the price to me just it pretty much explains itself, you know, personally. And when I hear stories of like guys like nitpicking, you know, I want to use the clear, you know, the clear is a little bit too expensive, I'm just going to use the base, you know, it's like, you know, you're just doing a disservice at that point. And that's one thing, if you try to purchase one of these banks, that's one of the things they're going to actually ask you is what you're doing with it. Because House of Color, especially John, I've heard numerous times from the numerous people, if you're not using this stuff from the, you know, from the metal up, you know, that they don't really want you using their stuff. They want you to use it from the, you know, from the primer all the way to the clear. They don't want you just using their bases. They don't want you just using their clears. They want you to use everything from the ground up. And that's another thing that is nice about having everything is, you know, I have everything from the ground up. You know, whatever somebody brings me, I can pretty much do it. And then when I run out of something, I just reorder it. You know, it's not a big deal at that point. So now, as far as how I got to this point, like I said, it took a couple months for me to actually get one. I got a buddy that works at a custom paint store who's also a painter on the side. And I pretty much, you know, I went into it thinking like I just wanted to know like the prices, or, you know, if I actually could get one, because I've seen a few custom painters have them. I'm like, maybe they're just sponsored. I'm not going to be able to get one, even though this is what I use mainly. Before I even got it, this is what one of the biggest brands that I was using. So I was like, I was kind of filling it out and see what I can get, see how far I could get. And I asked him, I was like, hey, could you help me? Because they sell House Color in store. I was like, this is what I want to use from here on out, you know. Over the years of painting, I've figured out what works for me. I figured out, you know, the biggest thing for me was reliability. Because I can go, you know, I can drive 40 minutes south and go to my local paint store and they have everything in stock. I don't have to worry about going online, ordering it, waiting on somebody else. I can go there and get it the same day, or they can deliver it to me the same day. It's not a big deal either way. So that was the biggest selling point to me, is reliability on a paint, because, you know, especially like this truck that is actually behind the camera, it's, you know, if I'm doing stuff on the fly, you know, I don't just grab these off the thing, and I you know, sometimes I do, but a lot of times when you're making custom colors, that's the part of being a custom painter, is being able to use and, you know, mix your own colors. You know, somebody might say, I like that, but I want a little bit darker, maybe, or a little bit lighter, you know, whatever is the case. Or, hey, can you make this color, or whatever? You know, I saw this color on another car, can you make this? And this allows me to do that, because I have everything at my arsenal to do that, which makes it really nice. And that kind of goes into these little chip decks. I got PG01, 2, and 3 here. And this, I mean, it pretty much goes over everything you can make with this system. You know, if you want to go through here and, you know, somebody picks out a color for one of these decks, I can go out and I can make it, you know, by hand, mix it toner by toner. Or like I said, I can make, you know, I can be like, hey, if you want it a little bit more sparkly, I can put more pearl in it. You know, if you want a different shade, I can, you know, tone it down to that shade. Or if you want something off the wall, I can make it. And that's the biggest thing for me is a lot of guys, they just go to the paint store and be like, hey, I need this paint code, and that's it. They just spray it out of the can, which is fine. You know, I do that stuff every day, but like as a custom painter, airbrush artist, when you're doing that type of stuff, there's a lot of times where you're going to have to make your own colors. And that's what I feel like the custom paint world stands out just from your regular painters. I always say there's applicators and there's painters. Applicators are just pretty much the people that can pick up a gun and spray. Anybody can spray any color and do a decent job, but like the painters are the ones that actually know the ins and outs, what everything's going to do, you know, anything chemical wise, you know, what's it going to, you know, how's it going to react, what's it going to do on top of that other color, what do you do at a certain stage in the point of the project, you know, how do you go about putting it on, how do you go about protecting everything underneath of it. And I think that's the major difference with painters. And then you got custom painters. Custom painters go a little bit further. They know everything, but they also know how to mix colors, and they know how to manipulate them to get to what they need. And that's the biggest thing for me. Like I said, it's the thing that stands out from a regular painter and a custom painter is, you know, you can go and take a color and you know what's in it and you know how to manipulate it to get to what you want. Whether you're painting it all over or you're painting, you know, your airbrushing or whatever. Because I'll tell you this at once, you know, one time. These are not, you know, you can just pick one of these up and pour it in a can and spray it, but these are just toners, and there's so much of these that go into every color, so you got to kind of figure out, obviously you go online if you're using a color straight, but if you're making it, you got to figure out which toners go where, so you're gonna have to know your color theory, and that's really big in the custom paint world is knowing your colors. You know, you got your primaries, and that's all you pretty much need if you know how to mix color. If you're airbrushing, if you make skin tones, things like that, you know, you already know what you're going to be mixing because you already know, you know, depending on what kind of flush tone you're looking for. But yeah, I just wanted to go over this real quick, make a short video. Nothing really too far in depth. But I've owned this thing. It's March. No, it's May right now. So, I've had this, I've got it, I pretty much bought it before the new year because the price increases are going up, so they want to get me locked in. So I bought this right after, you know, right before January is when I bought it, and then I got it like a month later when everything got shipped to me. So I've had it for a few months now. I'm really happy with it. Like I said on my post, like I think it's the best thing I've invested in so far, besides everything else in the shop that I can do this with. And that's just, you know, it's just the ease of having it. And I can't express that enough. If you do this stuff and you're serious about painting and or maybe you want to get into it, obviously you're not going to buy a bank at first. But I think it's the best route to go with. You know, it's, you know, not having to wait on somebody else and having everything at your ease. You know, it makes life a lot easier. Because, I mean, I can literally, rather than going online and buy it, I can sit here and make it myself. I got a scale, you know, I go online, I look up what's in it, you know, I'm able to make it on the fly. I can do spray out cards if somebody's wanting to look at a color. I don't have to go somewhere else to get a spray out card done. And, you know, I'll talk about price a little bit. So, like I said, I had to go through a few people to actually find one of these things, and evidently these things are sitting in their warehouses and they're wanting to sell them. You can't go, like I said, you can't go online, you can't just buy them off, you know, you can't go and just buy it. You got to actually know somebody that can get a hold of a distributor, or you got to know somebody that sells it. And I had a buddy, like I said, works at a paint store. He got in, I asked him, he asked me what I wanted. At first I just wanted pricing, like I said. And then it pretty much just went from, hey, if you're willing to spend this much money, we'll throw in the bank for free, and I got some other goodies and stuff thrown in with it too. So I spent a certain amount of money, um, and I got to go in and pick and choose what I wanted. Um, I don't know if everybody's going to be able to do that, but if you're local to me, I could probably get you the same deal that I got. But obviously, since then, like I said, the price increase, everything's inflated. I think it's 10% more than what it was when I got this, so it's gone up a little bit. But excuse me, it's gone up a little bit, but it's still not crazy because I was handed a sheet, so I was able to go through everything, open up every can that I wanted, look at the colors, because obviously there were some things I was not going to use just because where I live. I'm out in Indiana, I'm out here in the country. Custom painting is not as big as I like it to be out here, but I'm slowly working on that. I'm trying to get work out there and get more people interested. Everything around here is wraps. It's everything. Everybody wants something wrapped because they get it done on the fly. They don't want to take the time. You still got to take the cars apart and things like that, but there's a lot of people that don't do that. And they get it done so quickly. As painters, it's hard to keep up with those people. But I always say you can't beat paint. Vinyl and things like that. There's not even a question. There's no. I can't even describe how to actually compare the two because there is no comparison. Vinyl's vinyl, paint, you can do so much more with it. But that's how it is out here. I've been trying to get everything out that way because this custom stuff is like, people don't know about it until they see it. So trying to get more work out there, especially in my area, and hopefully when people start seeing this stuff, seeing the vibrant colors and things like that, they'll start being more interested. Got on a tangent, so go back to how I got this. I went through every can. I got to pick out and choose what I wanted because, like I said, a lot of the stuff, not even a lot of it, there's just a few things that I didn't need. Like the prism effect, I'll never use that prism effect. One, because it's so expensive. It's a little pint. It's an effects. It's a pint like this, and you just put a little bit in it with whatever you're doing, and it just gives them that prism, that rainbow effect on the paint. And just for one of those, it was almost $900. And I couldn't decide. To me that's too fancy. I don't really like the prism look. A lot of people do it with their wraps and things like that, but unless you're doing something really high-end or really fancy, I'd probably never even throw that out there for people because people aren't willing. Something like that, you're going to be asking around 12, 15 grand just to paint a car and that stuff. Probably a little bit more depending on the condition of the car. So that was something that was just, I knew off the top of my head that there's no way I needed to have that. Even if I was airbrushing with it, it'd be cool, but other than that, I would never use it. But so I got to pick and choose everything I wanted. Everything came out a little bit more than what they told me that I needed to spend in order to get the bank for free and things like that. So went through everything. My buddy, he sent everything in. They went over it with the guy that owns that paint store, and they okayed it. And they started ordering everything. And then, like I said, it took about a month for them to get it, and they came up here and they installed it all for me. Couldn't be more happier. Just want to say thanks to everybody that helped me get this. If you're looking for a deal like this, like I said, I saw the original initial cost to this thing. If you're getting everything, it was a little over 15 grand. Some of you, that might be a lot of money, but as a painter, knowing what banks go for, especially if you're getting like OEM colors, you can spend upwards of 30, 40 grand on a bank. So even if I had to spend the full retail price on this thing, I think I would have still done it just because to me, it was a no-brainer, honestly. So, but like I said, I got a heck of a deal on it. I did not pay that. I paid a little under 10 grand for this whole thing. So it was just something that I was like, it's going to pay for itself with the first car that I, you know what I mean? So, and I still haven't even used everything. A lot of the stuff I haven't even cracked open. So, a lot of it just, you know, I probably cracked open 3 things on this bank when I did this vehicle. So, it went a long ways. There are some things you're going to be using more of. So, I got gallons of like the KD series, which is your sealer and your primers, and then your BCO2, which is a, you know, the Ryan Max Silver. You know, you use that pretty much on every candy color, unless you're doing gold. You still use, I mean, pretty much still use that when you're doing gold, because you got to put that in there to make gold. But just, you know, it's really made everything easier. I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I can't say enough about it, but there are a few people that I know that have this thing across the U.S. and they love it too. I don't know how they got hold of it, but I'm sure their local distributor, that's probably what they asked for, and that's what they got. So, my opinion, I would just go to your local supplier. If you know somebody that sells House of Color, ask them questions, ask them, you know, if they can get one for you, things like that, because those are the people that sell it, or the people that are going to know where to get it. And they're going to be able to get it for you, because not everybody can get the bank. And I found that out. You got to actually know a rep that can get, you know, these things where they're in the warehouses. So, other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say about it. But it's a great system. You know, if you're going to be using something, I would go with House of Color. I've used, like I said earlier in the video, I've used I pretty much sprayed every brand of paint out there, just because I do work in a collision field. I've sprayed a lot of different things, but the custom side of stuff, you just can't beat House of Color. I don't care who you are. You know, there's another company, and there's a couple more companies, like custom companies out there, that do a good job too, but the reliability of having somebody that's going to be around is the most important thing, and House of Color has been around forever. You know, they've gotten bought out a couple times, you know, like Sherman owns them now, but they still stay true to their brand. So, you know, if you want somebody that's going to stick around, you know they're going to be around for, you know, years, then I would go with House of Color, just because it's, you know, it's good stuff. It's never failed on me. And the support is outrageous. The custom car community, especially if you're a painter or artist, there's always people out there willing to help you, lend a hand, and things like that, and just get you what you need, you know. So, there's one thing I was going to talk about, I forgot, but maybe it'll come to mind. But other than that, that's it. I mean, there's nothing else. I mean, it's paint. So it's paint. You know, you got your candies, you got your candy base coats, you got your FXs, you got all your toners, you got all your primers and sealers and all that stuff. You got your clear and your reducers and my wax and greases and my, you know, post clean stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. But if I think of anything else, I'll make another quick video. But I just want to get this out there, kind of be, you know, get something in between. It's probably going to be another month. June is when I think this thing's going to the show in June. So I think once it's debuted, I have a ton of footage I need to go through and start making videos out of it for you guys, and those will be up on the channel as soon as I can get them. As soon as this truck goes to the show, I can get them out. So I really want to show you guys it. It came out really, really good. I'm really pleased with it. It brings back that 90s, early 2000s mini truck vibe. I think that generation is going to be coming back. It's going to be coming back really strong. So this is just a little teaser to put out there. You know, this is the style that kind of what I grew up with. So it's really cool to see the stuff making a way come back around, especially in my area, because like I said, you don't see it in much anymore. I mean, most of the stuff is wrapped. That's just what it is nowadays. So really cool stuff. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it as much as I have. and hopefully you guys will see it at a show somewhere near you. But and it is going to go like to Bama and all that other those big car shows out west. It's going to go over there. So once it gets done and get the glass and everything, it'll be cleaned up. You know, it's going to have different wheels on it than what you guys seen in the videos. So it's going to come out really strong. Obviously, it's not 100% a full show truck right now. He wants to get his frame done as well as the engine bay because it's still the factory color. But once we start, you know, fixing the stuff that's in the bed, because this is a really old school build, so a lot of the stuff on this truck is really old and needs to be gone over. It needs to be just tweaked a little bit and then changed. So once he does all that and gets all that stuff done, it's going to be a really, really tough truck to go up against. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, if you guys want to know anything else, you know, this is a custom paint channel. This is why I made this YouTube, is nothing but paint, you know. So if you guys have any questions, comments, things like that, comment down below. I'll try my best to answer anything I can, and we'll get these videos back to rolling out of here. So until then, stay tuned. I promise, stuff's coming. Big stuff's coming. Especially since House of Color started showing my stuff on their page. I think it's gonna do a lot of good for me. It's one of the dreams that I've always had being a painter. This is an idea that I had when I first started painting. Like, it'd be cool to be able to do this stuff. And now look at me, you know, 20-some years later, I'm out here doing this. So it's really, really cool. I just kind of dated myself, didn't I? But it's all right. I've been doing it for a while, but it's always been a dream of mine to have like a House of Color mixing bank in my shop. Actually having a shop, a place on my own where I can do this stuff. And it's always been a dream of mine. And now that it's actually coming around, and big companies are starting to recognize me, because you gotta understand, I'm out here in the country. I'm just some country kid. You know, they don't really know me because I'm pretty low key. I don't really go out much and flash my work everywhere like a lot of guys do. And I'm not really doing anything that you haven't seen before. A lot of the guys on the West Coast do some pretty crazy paint jobs. And it's hard to compete with those guys out there, but I'm doing what, you know, I feel like is needed to be, you know, in that field, in that industry, in that kind of like certain area. Where these other guys are doing. So I look up to all of those guys. Every one of them is really cool. So don't, you know, if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to, you know, get out to one of those guys too out there. But a lot of those guys out there, they're killing it. They're paving the way for this industry. I'm just trying to put my little 2 cents in there and my creativity side out there. So paint industry is not dead. I know, like I said, rap's taking over everything, but I think it's just getting started back up again. I think people are going to start recognizing and seeing the major differences with wraps versus paint. So I can't compare the two, but people do all the time. But I'm rambling on. So until next time, I'll see you guys. And like I said, stay tuned. More videos are coming out.